Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
Zach.
And there's no Jeff this week.
Yep.
He posted the reasons for it in Slack, so if you're in Slack, you know it's some personal things that I'm not going to worry about on the show for now. Y'all are just, this episode is a tribute to the fans, because Jeff having personal issues and me feeling like absolute shit really wanted to just cancel this week, but canceling 2 weeks prior, going for 3 in a row, and then I'm out of town for work training next week. Look, it didn't seem right to go 4 weeks without an episode.
It could have been a smooth 1 month off, man, is all I'm saying.
It could have been, but I felt bad about that. So I'm sucking up, feeling like shit. And Zach and I are recording a remote session for you, the fans. So Enjoy. You might hear me be a little sniffy and coughy, but I'll try to keep it out of the mic. We'll see how well it works out.
And you being sick is the reason why, or feeling a little sick, down the weather, however you want to describe it, is why we're doing it remote versus
yes,
at your place.
In person.
Yep. And it being remote is why it's only 2 of us.
Oh, yeah, because we definitely would have tried to find a guest.
Yes.
If we were doing it at my place. Yeah, I'm feeling much better today. Definitely Sunday was the worst of it. I have tested negative on 2 different antigen tests, the little rapid tests. So either I don't have COVID or I've pulled the incredibly unlikely scenario of getting 2 negative false negatives. But just abundance of caution seemed appropriate.
Yeah.
So, we have, however, both of us played games. Game night has not started back up quite yet, and it won't be going this Wednesday. It will be starting the second Wednesday of February with Strange. Numbers have been going back down in Colorado, and I feel comfortable turning the hordes of nerds loose again, especially since the city and state are pulling the mask and vaccine mandates for the city, effective on this Friday. So them being like, hey, yeah, you guys don't need to wear masks inside anymore, or at least we're not going to require it, felt like, they're looking at numbers, I'm looking at numbers, and we're both seeing like, hey, we could probably do game night again. So
we're gonna
do that.
I thought you were gonna say that you especially felt comfortable doing it because you weren't gonna be there.
I mean, that's also not incorrect.
Yeah.
No, I'm bummed I won't be there. I was really looking forward to going back to Strange for game night.
Yeah.
And then literally day 1 at the new job, which was today, I started a new job that'll come up more in Banter. But day 1, they're like, hey, you're flying out Sunday to go to Orlando for training, and you're going to be there for a week. Have fun.
There you go.
I was like, oh, great. I got to go to fucking Florida in the middle of a pandemic.
Hey,
Great.
Look, you can go to Disney World now, man. So, perfect.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
If I know
that's
anything
how I want to
about
spend my time and money.
If I know anything about Adrian, is that you were all about that touristy bullshit.
Yes, correct. I do love Disney shit, though.
Why go around the world when you can go to Epcot and then just go all around the world in there? It's fine.
That's one thing I learned from traveling internationally is that there's no reason to go anywhere that's not Epcot.
Exactly.
Like, Morocco, Turkey, Iceland, Guatemala, all of them indistinguishable from sections of Epcot. Don't travel internationally, just go to Epcot. You heard it here.
Yeah. Just let Disney take care of your entire life is all we're saying.
Just like that little mouse.
Yep.
My cousin was actually just there at Disney World in Orlando. She goes like every year because she is one of those people who's like obsessed with it. It made my aunt really mad because she's living at home right now, and they're like, you don't have money for this. How are you going to Disney once a year? Also, there's a pandemic. Stop doing this. So yeah, whatever. Love to air my family's dirty laundry on a podcast listened to internationally. Let's talk about some board games on this board gaming podcast.
I suppose.
We've both played board games. So let's start. You can start, okay. Zach. You've played 2 of them remotely. So what did you play?
Yes. A friend of ours, V. She messaged me a couple times over the last couple weeks being like, hey, you want to play some games? And I kept having to push it for various other reasons. And on Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday, one of these days, she was just like, hey, you want to play? And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing anything. Sure. So we were trying to figure out what to play. We ended up playing on Board Game Arena, and she had a premium subscription, so we were able to play anything from there that we wanted.
Nice.
But the first thing we did was Patchwork, and it was the original one, although it had like festive colors on it. And I still love that game, but it's definitely. I remember I was playing it, and I started getting into that mindset of playing the expert AI of like you have to be real precise to not get screwed in that game by by the expert AI. So it was just like I remember V like bought something, and then I was like, okay, I need to get this one. That'll let me get this one. That'll let me be right behind her. And she won't have enough money to get all of these. So I'm going to specifically pass here so that she will pass. And then I went into this entire mental thing.
And then she didn't do any of that.
No, she did. She did. But it was, it could tell it was like at the end, she was just like, I really need to stop just being like, I need to like make the more strategic moves and not, I want to make a pretty quilt. And I joked with her afterwards because at the end of the game, I only had one spot left on mine, like one by one hole. And I was just like, well, if it was me, I would choose the quilt that had only one hole in it as opposed to the quilt that's 2/3 of a quilt.
Yeah.
It's still fun. I'm curious to see if, have you played any of the other versions of Patchwork at all?
I have not.
Okay. I want to try them at some point just to see if they're like different orientation. Like if it's just a reskin or do they actually have different pieces in there? Because I feel like that would be that would probably be interesting to try just because I have played that game enough via the AI that I can easily look at something and be like, that's a good tile, that's a bad tile, right? It's still one of my favorite of his games to play, and it is one thing I do enjoy about it is like one of the first pieces I took was that like cross looking one, but not the 0-3 cross, the one that's like 2 by 2 by 1 by 1, if that makes sense. Do you know what I'm?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I put that one,
I think so.
and then I put it in the middle of the board, and then I spent the rest of the first half of the game being like, "Why did I put it there? It's making everything more difficult." But then slowly I was able to patch things up, and then I was like, okay, good. I was able to get everything filled except for that one, which was some. I took 4 out of the 5 1x1 squares. And so I did find it a little funny that she got 1 1x1 square, and I was off by 1 1x1 square. But yeah, so we played that, and then afterwards, we played Base Takenoko, the game about pandas. And both implementations of those games on Board Game Arena are good, but it's definitely. Like, you know, with Tabletop Simulator, it feels more like you're playing the board game virtually, whereas this one felt like you were playing a virtual version of it, if you understand the distinction.
Yes.
Okay. So it had been a long time since I played that game, so I don't
think I've ever played it.
I mean, you're probably fine not playing it. I enjoy it, but it's not like a super good. Yeah,
just kind of tells a story. Like there's not a lot of
real
game.
Are you thinking of Takedo? The one about
I definitely am.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure am.
Yep. That's the one about walking through Japan. This one's the one about growing bamboo gardens, and then a panda goes around.
With the little pandas.
Yes.
Yep.
So
on the same page again.
Yes. So it's that one. And it went. It was a little rough at first for me because I kept forgetting a couple things in there of like, so you have like 4 actions that you can do, right? There's the you can place a tile, you can move the panda, you can move the gardener, or you can get objective cards. Objective cards are how you end the game. It's the first person to 9 ends the game, and then you count up points from those objective cards. When you place a tile, if it's connected to water, then it grows a bamboo sprout. But in order for it to be there has to be either has to have its own water supply on it, or it has to be connected. Excuse me. You have to put an aquifer adjacent to it, and that's actually the 5th action. Sorry, forgot about that one. So you can do that. You can move the panda any amount in a straight line, and it'll eat one of the squares or eat one of the bamboo spots that are on there. You can also move a gardener in a straight line, and then he will have any spaces that are the one he's on and any adjacent that have water. They're irrigated, and they have the same color. And a lot of the objective cards are you're either growing specific sizes of colored bamboo stalks, you have the different plots of land in specific orientations, or the panda has certain colored bamboo in its stomach. So it's moving those around. You can choose, when you do objective cards, you can choose which one of those you want, so you can sort of focus on whichever one you feel is better at the time, I suppose. And I think the panda one tends to have less points on the cards because it's relatively easier to get some of those versus growing specific bamboo to specific heights. But one interesting thing this game does have is on the start of your turn, or the start of the round, I'm not sure which one it is. This is sort of the problem with a lot of virtual games, is that the things that it does automatically, you can sort of forget what exactly it's doing, because it's just, I knew on my turn, a weather die was rolled, and the weather die could either be instead of 2 actions on your turn, you get 3 actions, or you get 2 actions, but you can do the same action twice, or you just move the panda and have it eat something, you move the gardener and you have him grow something, or just a wild of any of those. So on your turn, you can still plan what you're trying to do, but you'll get some sort of benefit that you can work around. So, it was close, but ended up winning on that one as well. Whoever the first person is to get the 9th objective card claimed, you get an Emperor card, which is worth an additional 2 points. So that definitely helped. When I got my final card, with that, I had 35 points, and V only had 29. So there wasn't really much that she was going to be able to do to meet me on that. So, but it's still enjoyable. Glad I was able to get some games played. But I'm looking forward to actually playing some real life games, specifically ones I bought that I'll talk about later.
Okay, we'll cycle back around on that one. I, fortunately enough, got to play. I only played one game, but it was in person. And it's a game I've been excited for a little while. I don't remember how the conversation came around. It might have just been me talking about getting the new job and how that would mean that I'd have a lot more weekend availability. And long story short, Paul, Mike Jones, Chris Evans, and Eric all got together with me included, and we decided to do a big game of Indonesia. Mike Jones bailed at the last minute, so it ended up just being 4 of us.
Oh, that's a bummer.
But we went over to... Yeah, 4 still works really well for Indonesia.
I still remember 5 being it was one that got better with more people, I feel like, but I don't...
Well, it definitely gets faster.
That's what it was.
I don't know about better, but it definitely gets faster with more people. And I do think I probably would not ever play more than or less than 4 because of the time, and I just do think with 3 players, some of the decision points start to get very zero-sum. Whereas with 4, there's enough ambiguity about who's actually in the lead and who you're really helping with decisions that it keeps things kind of moving all around. But we played on, Paul got a giant neoprene printed version that's like a fan-made version of the board that has some graphical niceties to make it a little bit easier to parse the board state at any given time. The biggest benefit is it's just bigger. So there's a lot more space for marking down resources and ships and things like that, which I really appreciated. We started out, Eric, I don't think had ever played or had only played once a long time ago. So he wasn't very familiar with the rules. So we gave him a quick little rundown. It was great because he was like the first player. He won the Chwazi to start. And most of the game you bid for turn order, but at the very beginning there is like a little bit where you seed the board with the initial cities, and he had to go first on that. And he's like, how do I know where to put it? And it was like, dude, you don't. Just pick a spot you like for whatever stupid reason you like it. Like, it's not going to really matter. So yeah, I was like, dude, just put it wherever. Like, you're not going to know, and there's nothing we can teach you in like a reasonable amount of time that's going to give you enough information to make a better choice. Like, cities, where they specifically go is fairly ancillary, and them not always being in the same spot is part of what makes, like, it starts that snowball effect that makes each game so different. So we all placed our cities. We all got going. I ended up going kind of accidentally. I always like ships. I don't know why, but I always like to be the shipping guy. So I went heavy into ships. To the point that, like, I started a shipping company my first round. I bumped the merger, and then I immediately merged away the shipping company that Eric started and made them one shipping company. And I just kind of kept doing, like, I made enough money from the first round. Like, everyone basically had to ship on me. For a long time, I was the only other ships in the game. In fact, like, there was a different point. Eric got 2 other ships, and I think I merged them and took them away from him. Like, I ended up having to pay him for both companies, but I was like, those are 2 good companies. I want to make those one company and make it mine. So I was doing pretty good, and I felt really confident that like I was in a good spot going forward. And then Chris Evans came along, and he'd bumped his merger up as well, and he went on one merger round where he went on a tear and merged like 4 different companies. And so it was right after, like, the first merger of that round was me taking that one from Eric. And so it was like, sweet, I've got these 2 huge shipping companies. I'm going to dominate shipping. Like, I'm going to make so much money off of all of these goods that everyone has out here. And the way the shipping companies were spread out, it was like, you can get to every city. So people are going to have to ship really, really far on these. Like, in fact, at one point, Eric had to ship a grain to a city, and grain, when you ship it, you get $20 for selling a grain. He had to pay $25 in shipping, so he spent more than he made on that particular grain.
Nice.
Which was great for me. But Chris went on this tear, merged all these companies, to where the number of resources on the board went from this like huge amount that was all going to ship on me to a very, very small amount. He did a lot of Siat Faji merger, so you take rice and spice and merge them.
Yeah.
But you cut out half of the ones that are on the board. So he reduced what was on the board by almost half, like probably 40% less tokens on the board. And I was like, well, shit. I was like, that probably really fucks me. Like, I would not have tried to take that other shipping company if I had known that was going to happen. That sucks.
Well, it'd be funny if Chris was just like, I'm not going to merge these, or I'm not going to make this unless Adrian merges those 2 companies.
He did say that was a huge part of why he did that.
I'm sure.
Once he saw that I had that shipping company, he knew that, like, reducing what I would be shipping would be huge. And I think he was heavily invested in rice, and Siat Faji sells for a lot more. So by pulling in some spice, he was able to make his rice worth a lot more. So it also worked well for him.
Gotcha.
So I that definitely ended up being a little bit of a stumbling block, and I thought it was going to be the end of me. But then the game progressed along, and we get to the start of the 3rd era. So we do all the board setup for the 3rd era. And I realized that the way the shipping and everything is, and the way people have their companies out, there's a really good chance I'm going to be able to get 2 oil companies right out of the gate, and I can also have boosted my expansion so that I'll sell the one for starting it, and then I'll get to expand for free, which would add 3 more. And so if there's another round, I get to sell like 8 oil, and oil is by far the most expensive commodity in the game. And then it only required the third arrow going 2 rounds, and thankfully that ended up happening. Paul did not take the sacrifice play, and I don't know if he could have. I think if Paul had taken a spice or a rice in that last round instead of the oil that he took, I think it actually no, because then there still would have been 2 companies on the board, so he couldn't have ended it. Anyhow, I was able to do that with the oil. I took the 2 oil companies. I was able to expand one of my shipping lines over to them, and then shipped them and expanded them massively, and then shipped them again. And I ended up winning pretty handily. I think I had 1,800 ish money. Eric was second with like 14. Paul, I think, ended up around 13. And then Chris Evans, his little merger happy round threw a huge wrench into the game, but knocked him completely out of the game. He had like 800.
Oh, damn.
I beat him by like $1,000. But I made like $1,200 in the final round. Like expanding the oil was really, the shipping kept me like in the game. And then that oil boom really sealed the deal for me. So, ended up being a fairly long game. We were supposed to meet at 2. I was running a little behind because of a car accident on the drive there. So I got there about 2:15. Then we had to do a little bit of setup. We might not have started playing until about 3. And then we finished at 6:15, which I know because I then had to leave and drive fairly rapidly back over towards our part of town from Paul's house to go play Stars Without Number, which is like D&D in space.
So you played another
which is also
game
fun.
Yeah,
I guess I get used to not talking about RPGs in the what have I been playing section, but they're totally games, so it applies. So yeah, a game night regular named Andy. He's also Megan and I snowboarding buddy. He's running a West Marches style Stars Without Number game. So what that means for those of you who don't understand any of those words I just said, West Marches style is very drop in, drop out. Like, so you're like, players aren't expected to be there every single time you play. And it's much more of a sandbox kind of world. So like a lot of times when you run a West March style, like you'll set up like, the players will all be, a bunch of like bounty hunters out of a single guild. And so each session will just be a handful of them like hanging around the guild house being like, you know, hey, you want to go on a job? You want to go on a job? You want to go on a job? Sweet. The 4 of us are going on whatever job's on the job board. And then they do their thing and then they come back. And then like next time it might be 2 of those characters and 2 new characters. And so people can jump in and jump out really easily. He's been running it for, I don't know, like 6 months or so. This is my first time getting to go join. So I made myself a new little spacer character, and went along. He does it all very theater in the mind, doesn't do battle maps, doesn't do any of that, which helps keep the game flowing and moving. It's a fairly similar system to D&D. If you've played D&D, it'll be very familiar. A lot of D20 rolls for attacks and stuff. The base stats are all the same, like strength, constitution, dexterity, wisdom, charisma, and intelligence. I did those in a really weird order. But all those stats and things were the same. One of the biggest differences is skill checks. Instead of being a D20 plus your skill bonuses, you roll 2d6. So it's more of a distribution than just a random 1 in 20.
Right.
The bonuses don't seem to get quite as ridiculous. But yeah, it was fun. Definitely got to feel like my character was useful and a part of this new team. And it makes for cool role play opportunities to be like, you know, all right, the 3 of us have been on a bunch of missions. Like, who's this fucking newbie? Who the fuck are you? What can you do? Although the people were much friendlier than that we played with. So it was a lot of fun. I definitely look forward to playing it again sometime in the future. No idea when that'll be. With weekends being a lot of travel here for the new job, and then trying to snowboard what little bit I can, since I lost, 1 day off a week for the rest of the, I don't know how, like till like August. I went from working 4 10s at my old company to now I'm Monday through Friday 7 to 4. Like, great. 7 to 3.
Okay.
3:30 because you get a 30-minute unpaid lunch.
Oh, that's a bummer. Gotcha.
Yeah, I haven't worked at a company that gave you a paid lunch in forever, so all of my 8-hour shifts are all really 8.5. Or like my 10s, even at Taruma, were 10.5 shifts, which is, yeah, it should be fucking illegal. Companies should pay you fucking 30 minutes for lunch. Like, I know a lot of people. This is the intro to Banter, by the way. We're just rolling into it. I know a lot of people who are older and like talk about, getting like an hour paid lunch. Like your lunch break was an hour and it was just part of your 8-hour day. Like, couldn't fucking imagine how nice that would be. That'd be fucking great. I'd love to just have like a 30-minute paid lunch that I'd eat at my desk while I'm doing other work, because 30 minutes is enough time to leave to go anywhere. So, yeah. So yeah, 7 to 3:30 at the new job.
Gotcha. Your previous job, when did you have to start? Is 7 better for you now, or is it? I don't remember when you started previously.
Yeah, so it is technically better. So my old job, I worked 5:30 to 4. Because like I said, I was doing the 10s, which are really 10.5s. Yeah, the difference though being at that job at 5:30 meant I only needed to get up. Like, I woke up and got out of bed about 15 minutes like, I would regularly get out of bed at like 5:05, 5:10. Just get on clothes and jump in the car and be there in 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. This new job is out by the airport, so I have to take 70 at 7 o'clock in the morning.
I did not know that you had to go. I thought it was okay. Jeez.
No. So my commute this morning was 35-ish minutes, and my commute home this evening was 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So instead of spending about 20 to 30 minutes in my car commuting, I'm going to be spending like an hour and 15 minutes in my car commuting.
Oh, no. No.
Yep.
Oh,
no. It's like basically the airport.
But like not even, you have to get off of Peña and you have to go on 56 past 470. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shockingly long time after. Like, looking on the map doesn't even do it justice to how long that felt this morning when I first got off of Peña and was like, still going. And I'm like, I'm still going? Did I miss my turn? No, I'm still going. So
that makes me feel better about my commute, even though that's still 35 minutes.
Yeah. So it sucks. So that I'm definitely looking forward to the fall when it actually starts running and we switch to shift work, because at least then I won't be working 5 days in a row and making that commute 5 days a week.
Is there any chance of moving locations to somewhere else, or is that where you guys are?
That's where they are for Denver. Okay. If I wanted to like move to one of the other plants that they are opening, which I can't say where all of those places are, because apparently most of that isn't even announced. I don't even know how much ours is announced.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
that's the only one in the Denver area, is what you're saying, right?
Correct. Yeah. That's the only one in the state.
Yeah, there you go.
At least currently.
Yeah. Hey, you know what this means though, is that at some point in the future, if you want to go a little early, you can stop by the Quick Trip that's going to be here in Denver. It's off of 70 in Central Park. We're
getting a fucking Quick Trip?
We are.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be a job I'm going to be at for like years and years and years.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to get my experience and my pay and then bounce. And it's a good thing they're paying me $10 more an hour. Otherwise, I would not feel that an extra hour of unpaid time would be even close to worth it.
Yeah.
So.
See, it's right after you get on 270, like you just take the exit to Central Park instead of onto 70, and then it's just going to be right there. It's just Quick Trip all the time.
There we go.
Nice. Did you have anything else you were going to talk about?
Just that the next several months are a whole shit ton of online training, and I'm a little miffed that they're not offering any kind of super regular work from home deal.
Gotcha.
So it's like, dude, don't make me drive this fucking drive when all I'm going to do is come and sit at a computer in a cubicle and do online learning modules for 8 hours. Just let me do that at home.
Yeah.
Like, I have a company laptop now. Like, I'm going to be sitting in a cubicle on my company laptop instead of just sitting at my kitchen table on my company laptop.
Yeah, it's fun, right?
Great.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, so going back to those games that I want to play when we get to an actual
oh, yes, the ones you purchased.
Yeah. So I bought one. So I was looking online for the Taverns of Tiefenthal. Like, they have an expansion, but I hadn't like seen it super announced for like where it was going to be sold or anything like that. So I was just looking on Amazon, and I happened to see it, but it was like $40-something, and I was like, "Oh, this seems a little high." But
steep.
I googled it just to I just googled Taverns Expansion to find to see if I could see it anywhere like on Miniature Market or Cool Stuff or any of those things, and it actually brought me to the website of the new US publisher for it. I don't know if it's just US, but it is, since North Star Games is it like they folded, right?
I think so.
Or either way, they don't own the rights to it anymore. So it was somebody else who has it, and they're actually called CMYK Games.
Okay.
And so it brought me to their website, and I was like, "Oh shit, they've got like they have it on sale here, and it was for $35 versus the $40 I'm assuming MSRP." So that's that's almost 20%. Well, it's not 20%. It's like 15, 16, somewhere around there percent off. So it's still I would say well priced at that regard. From their website, right? But then I saw that they also had the Quacks Mega Box expansion.
Oh yeah, the big old one.
Yeah, let me up. Interesting. I just googled it, and it is not on there anymore. So I don't know what's going on with that, but I was able to get it in the right. Maybe they ran out of stock or something like that. But either way, it was the expansion, or it was Quacks, the base game, and both expansions, and I ended up getting it for the Mega Box for $75, which was not a bad price. I felt for
where did you find it?
On their website, CMKY Games.
Okay.
Or CMYK Games. Now they just have the base games, and that's $40, $75. It's like $105, or $110, and I got it for $75, $79, somewhere around there. It's a good deal, I felt. But anyway, the first thing is the Taverns expansion. It adds. It's definitely an expansion that adds new things instead of more. So it has 4 different modules to it, and I'll just tell you, man, it seems like if you play with like all 9 modules of the games, it's going to be like, there's going to be a lot of shit going on in that. Because the first module adds an inn, which is, let's see, that is the big box, not the mega box. The big box just has the one expansion. So it is, let's see, Quacks Mega Box. So Board Game Geek has it for Mega Box, and then they have like other versions of it, but they don't have the US one.
Interesting. The CMYK, it still shows up in Google, but does not load.
Yeah. So yeah, it was $75 there instead of $79. I wonder if it came out early or something like that. I don't know. Either way, I got it, so I'll take it.
Nice. Shit, yeah.
Yeah. Especially because I've been wanting that game for a while. So, and it looks like there's a you could buy it. There's a US or a UK version, like in the United Kingdom, that's 55 pounds.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that is in the US. So, but anyway, getting distracted. Taverns. The first module adds. Excuse me. It adds an inn that goes on top of your board, on top of your tavern, and it gives you an area to store nobles. But more specifically, it gives you powers that it gives you like additional powers for when you draft a die instead of like placing it down to do something. It's when you actually do the first pick of the die. you'll get to do something. And you have a little bit of planning for that, but it seems pretty interesting there. So like if you grab a 3, you get to do this, or you grab a 5, you get to do this. There is a wine cellar, and there are wine cubes that basically act as wilds. Planning for those means that you have a much better chance of doing something that you want to do in the game. There is a bartender that's on the left side of the inn that he gives you actual player powers. So if you remember, one of the modules was like individual starting positions if you wanted. So like if you wanted to start with an upgraded like something that was upgraded or an extra seat, or you get these other things, right? This one it lets you draft actual player powers, as in like when you get money, you get extra money, or one of them has like an upgraded bar area, or an upgraded guest book, or you get these like IOU things that you get to use at the start. Each round you get access to one of them that'll like give you extra money or extra beer, or let you do other things. So that's pretty cool. And then module 4 is the mayor, and the mayor is going to let you. It brings out this little like banner board that is going to give you goals to actually try and compete throughout the game. And if you complete them, then you're going to get some sort of unlocked power that you can use once in the game. And so that basically brings like end game goals. So it's adding more things that are unique, but that are just like further adding to the complexity of this game. So I'm curious to see.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see, like, playing with everything is just like, man, this is too much.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like, at least with these modules, you can choose. It doesn't build up like the modules in the base game, where it's like if you're playing with 4, you are playing with 1, 2, and 3 as well. You could just choose. You could just be like, I want to play with the bartenders this time, or I just want to do the wine, or I just want to do the mayor. And they each have like pieces that if you're not playing with certain modules, you just don't use those pieces. So
cool.
Yeah. But anyway, the second thing, like I said, was quacks. So not only now, mind you, this was me just looking for the expansion for Taverns, right? I ended up buying the Quacks Mega Box, and then I mentioned that on our Slack, and then somebody was like, "Hey, the Quacks Geek Bits from BGG, like their store, those are back on sale." And I went to look at them, and I was like, God damn it. And so I ended up buying both sets of them, like the base game and then the expansion bits. And then they also had like these storage crates. They were like $20, I think, that you could also like you could flip over and then put the recipe, or the recipe things, the little books. Have you ever played Quacks?
I have not played Quacks. No.
Right. Well, anyway, so each of the colors has like this little we're going to call it recipe book. I don't know what else it's called, but these little recipe books that sort of tell you what each of their powers do, and the storage thing has a little slot where you can put them in and to display them. But I received all of that, and so that ended up being like spending $200 extra that I didn't need to, because I wanted to get, once I got that taste of Quacks, I was just like, all right, I'm just going to get everything then.
All fucking in.
Yeah. Now, there weren't any Geek Bits parts for the Alchemists, which is the second expansion, but it doesn't really have anything that necessitates those Geek Bits, because the pieces that you're drawing from the bag, the Alchemist expansion didn't add anything new to that. It did give you some that were like, hey, if your cardboard pieces get worn out, you can use these as refreshes. But since the Geek Bits are plastic, and I'm not really going to need to worry about that, right? But the funny thing that I found was the mega box that it came in. It's one of those extra long boxes that they like to do with these big box editions, and I was just curious to see. But with the Taverns, I was able to pack the base game and the expansion into the expansion box, which was thinner than the regular box. And then I was able to put all of Quack's, both expansions and all of the upgraded bits into my Taverns box, which I think is around the same size as the original Quack's box. So
Okay.
there's a lot of extra space that I didn't need. And then so now people will be like, do you have 2 versions of Taverns? And I'll be like, no. If you want Taverns, you get the expansion box. If you want Quacks, you get the base box. So
Naturally.
but I'm looking forward to playing both of those soon.
Awesome.
Yep.
You talking about buying the bits off of BGG, the Geek Store, reminded me that I keep meaning to like get some of those bit bowls that you've got.
Yes, yeah, those
that I wish I had known to ask for when you went to BGG Con, because those were fucking sweet.
Yeah.
How much were they at BGG?
They were like, I want to say 40 or something like that. I'm not sure. For a set of 13.
Okay, because they're $39 for a set of 13 on the web store, so it's probably that. Just you didn't have to pay shipping.
Well, it's not just shipping too. I think it was like 10 or 20% cheaper, so they're probably only 30. I might just be thinking of the other board game things I got. The things that hold the cards and the little bowl things. So.
Oh yeah, you got those too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm currently debating about whether I need to. And $4 for the large one, so I could add like 2 large ones in colors I like.
That's true. You could.
I'll have to come back to that later when we're not recording. Anyway, let's see what else can fall into banter. See, I did a little bit more snowboarding. Nothing super exciting on that front. Definitely a little disappointed that the new work schedule is going to make snowboarding significantly less convenient, as now we'll have to either leave Friday right after work and drive up tired and camp overnight, or we'll have to battle weekend fucking crowds.
Aren't you glad that you didn't? You weren't like, you know what? I am gonna go in on that condo again.
Oh yeah, yeah. The condo, like, since you can't have a dog there, like, it just rules it out for us at this point. Like,
gotcha.
We had the one season of the condo with Jester, and we were basically never up there because it was too much of a pain to find people to watch her. But yeah, I do, however, like, you know, I was just starting to get glad that I had bought the Icon Pass. And then now it's like, well, now I'll probably never use my Icon again, because weekends are going to be so busy at the main resorts. We're almost always going to go to Bluebird to like escape the crowds, which means I probably won't hardly go to an Icon resort the entire rest of the season. So awkward. But yeah, we still got like 10 days on Icon, so it's still good. It did probably put my 30 days on the mountain goal for the season in jeopardy. I think I'm over 10 right now, but it's barely over 10. And there's not a ton left in the season to get 20 more days. There's only like 2 or 3 months, depending on how things go. So we'll see. February, March, April, maybe some of May. And I still might be able to get it. Only got to do 5 days a month. That might be doable. We'll see. As long as I only do 2 work trips with them, which yeah, I'm going to Orlando this next week, and then I'm back in Denver for a week, and then I'm in Dallas for a week. So Boyd, you know, maybe we can. I don't think I'll have a car. I'll be stuck at the work hotel. But if you're willing to come down to that region, maybe we can play a board game or something. I'm
sure you can. There's you should go and get some barbecue at whatever that barbecue. There's an area. What is it called? Deep Ellum. There's a lot of good food there that you should try. Where do you know where your hotel is at all? Or
nope.
Okay. Because there's a big difference of if it was like on Southeast Dallas or something like that. That's going to be a big trip for him.
Yeah, well, you know, if he's a true fan, he'll make that sacrifice.
Oh no, definitely not.
Let's see. Kroger Fulfillment Center. Oh, they don't have a Dallas one listed. Let's see here. Actually, maybe they do. Looks like it might be over by Park Glen. Wow, fuck that is. Summerfields, Watauga? Yeah. Keller? I don't know. Do any of those names sound familiar to you, Boyd? Let us know in an email. Moving on. Yeah, I haven't, let's see, movies. I've been watching, we can talk about this. This'll provide a little bit of opposing viewpoints here. Been watching Peacemaker, and I'm struggling to enjoy it. Like, it's over the top and ridiculous, which I can, so that works for me.
Mm-hmm.
But man, like John Cena's character and the other vigilante guy who shows up, like, they both just kind of suck as people.
I mean,
like,
yes, I feel like but even people that love the show, they'll be like, yeah, they are not supposed to be good characters. Like, they're the protagonists, but not like, especially, like, they're definitely, they are doing some work to expand upon both of them, but they're not. I like watching them, but they're not. They're not likable. So,
well, it's funny to me because, like, there's, like, anti-hero isn't a new concept,
No.
and, like, you could argue that, like, somebody like Deadpool is not a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not a new concept in superhero movies in general, or like in broader movies. Like, there's all kinds of movies where the protagonist is actually an objectively terrible person.
Yeah.
And I don't, like, I like Deadpool. Like, he's a piece of shit, but I like the character. It's fun to watch. Something about Peacemaker is hard to watch.
Is it that?
It's hard to watch him.
Is it that John Cena is not Ryan Reynolds?
I mean, that might be part of it. I think it more has to do with why the things about what makes him like a bad character. And I don't want to get too much into like some of the details of his backstory and like his family backstory. But like, to say that it deals with like issues of like racism and sexism and stuff like that, it makes him objectively more unlikable. Like, he's not a bad guy because he kills people. He's a bad guy because he's a piece of shit to people.
Yeah.
When he's not killing them. I don't know.
I guess for me is that like there's some of that stuff there, but it doesn't like it doesn't glorify him. Like it's what's a good way of saying that? It doesn't go past those part, and then they're like, yeah, he has all this stuff, but he's still a good guy. Like, they're not. I don't think it's trying to say that. So
no. Megan was out after one episode. I got her to watch the first episode because she liked. We both really liked the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But she was out, and her comment was something along the lines. I wish I could remember the exact comment because it was actually kind of witty. But it was something about like, like, yeah, they're clearly setting him up to like redeem him for being like a racist, sexist piece of shit. She's like, but honestly, I'm kind of sick of watching every racist piece of shit, like racist, sexist piece of shit, like get a chance to be redeemed, like as a like television story. Like, like, no, like, fuck that. Like, most of them don't turn around, and most of them are still just racist pieces of shit, racist and sexist pieces of shit or something. And it was like, yeah, I can see that.
There, I will say there's definitely a couple, if the show does a couple things towards the end in regards to some of those things, it would make me, I would be real annoyed at it. Like,
yeah, there's definitely room for them to super fuck up this like story.
Yeah.
The other story stuff outside of Peacemaker himself, like the kind of twist reveal there of the last like 2 episodes, that stuff, like, that's starting to pull me in more. Like, some of the other, like, what's actually going on with what they're doing and like why they're doing it, like,
yes,
that's starting to pull me in. But man, Peacemaker himself just keeps trying to push me away.
Yeah.
I also, and I think like it's something probably to do with my personal taste, because I know like all of you guys in Slack channel talk about how you watch the intro every time.
Yeah.
Whereas I cannot skip that fucking intro fast enough. it drives me crazy.
Okay. Well, yeah. Then obviously the show is not the show is not made for you.
Correct.
If you see that and you're like, I'm gonna skip this, then you might as well just hit stop.
I'm really glad I enjoyed it the first time, and then the second time it was like, oh yeah, this is a thing again.
Yeah.
And then the third and fourth and fifth times were like, nope, I'm done.
It gets better each time. So
Wait, is it different?
No, it just gets better the more I watch it.
Son of a bitch. It has definitely made me rethink, like, you know, if you had asked me before I watched Peacemaker what I thought of James Gunn, I'd have been like, oh yeah, he's great, love James Gunn. And now I'm like, did I really understand James Gunn? Do I need to go back and watch some of his movies that I thought I liked to see if I still like them?
Well, these are good questions.
But yeah, Boba Fett is meh. I am so meh on Boba Fett.
How far in are you? Just curious.
4 or 5. I'm not sure.
Okay. I prefer the other, Mandalorian season, both seasons, more than this one, but I'm still getting some enjoyment from it. There's been some good stuff, but there's also been some shitty stuff. So
yeah. Cool. I continue to watch Encanto all the time.
Yeah, right. I like watching people react to the songs and have them be like, yes, it is feel all the feelings that you're supposed to be feeling.
Right. It blew my mind. I think it was this past weekend. Megan and I, we were going up snowboarding, and we were listening to the soundtrack. And we look, and yeah, because that's what it was. Because like I've listened to the soundtrack occasionally, like here at the house, like I've thrown it on like my Alexa or something. But this is the first time I'd listened to it in the car. And so the songs, would come up on the screen, and it would have, such and such song title by, and then whoever sung it. And that was the moment that I realized
Don't say
that.
Continue. No, continue. I just want to hear what you're saying. But
the Rosa Diaz?
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. Yeah. Yes. Stephanie Beatrice is
okay.
Is Mirabelle.
Yeah, Stephanie Beatrice is Mirabelle. Like, yes. So I was like, holy shit, Rosa Diaz and Mirabelle are voiced and played by the same human being.
Oh, yes.
And that it demonstrates a level of range that I did not think was possible.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, like, if you were like, that's when I realized that the songs were written by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh. No.
Yeah.
Although we followed it up with the Moana soundtrack, and that's when I realized that Lin-Manuel Miranda was heavily involved in the Moana soundtrack as well.
Yes.
So
I feel like you just have to get to the rap part of "You're Welcome," and you're like, okay, yeah, this is him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she does a great job with it. And there are some things you can find online of like her actually singing it. Like either if it's behind the scenes or anything like that. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, no, and she was also in The Heights. If you ever saw that by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I did not.
Yeah,
because it did not interest me at all. But maybe I will check it out just to support Rosa Diaz.
Yeah, well,
Beatrice.
I mean, she's a small character in it. It's not like she's like the main person, but it had some good parts. I will say that, but it's not my favorite.
Okay.
It's not my favorite thing he's done, but it was worth watching. I felt.
Okay. I tend to not like my musicals unless they are like a Disney animated movie, in which case I somehow weirdly love them a lot.
Gotcha. There was one funny thing I saw that was like, how the Disney characters or how the Encanto characters would look if they were more like classical Disney. Like, and usually it had like the people be a lot skinnier and what that. So it had like Miranda being skinnier, especially like Luisa being skinnier. And then it went to the parents, and then they went to like change them, and they just erased them away.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Should we go on to some news?
Yeah, I think we can move on to some news and Kickstarters. So first up in news, Tabletop Simulator has had a bunch of drama, and we have neglected to talk about most all of it up to this point. But basically, there was a mod who was being particularly shitty and banning people for talking about like just basic gay and trans stuff, and not like anything more than like, hey, I am gay, and then like, oh, Automod caught you. Oh, and then you complained about Automod? Ban. We'd kind of stayed out of talking about it. It seemed like there was enough that was being said about it. But it has continued to spiral for a little bit, but now Tabletop Simulator has permanently shut down their global chat function. So there's no just like jumping on Tabletop Simulator and just chatting to everyone who's in that global chat.
If I know if I know anything about any global chat, is that they're the worst. And
they are always the worst.
They're always the worst.
So now they're shutting down global chat entirely, and they have announced that they are donating $10,000 to trans activism nonprofit. And the nonprofit is going to be the National Center for Transgender Equality. So yeah, they're still working on some of that. I saw a Twitter exchange a while ago where that mod, they hadn't initially fired him, but then in their Discord, somebody got screen grabs of him continuing to be a shithead about the whole thing, and like he finally crossed the line far enough where they fired him outright. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a shit show all around. But the mod who triggered it all is gone. And yeah, now they're gonna donate some money. They shut down their global chat, and we'll see. I think some people have given up on it entirely. So we'll see if however it comes back around. Well,
and they mentioned it at like the money, and then a writing of a series of articles on their blog to showcase great work available from those members of the LGBTQ plus community. And then also the main thing is that we promise that this is just a first step towards renewed commitment. So we'll have to see.
Yeah.
That I think is, if it's like just this and then they wait a little while and then they're just like, okay, we won't have to worry about it anymore, then that's real shitty. But let's keep an eye on it.
Yeah. Apparently the Steam page underwent a whole bunch of coordinated review manipulation, people giving them shit reviews for their bad stance, and then apparently a lot of people who came together and, were like, hey, you're fighting SJWs and political correctness, and I'm going to use a bunch of slurs and then give you a positive review. And then now it's already flipped back around. Now that they've announced all of this, all of those same people are like, oh, you're giving in. Don't give in. So it's just a shit show. It might be too late to right the ship. We'll have to see, like you said, kind of what they do ultimately going forward. Moving on from that to the last little bit of news that we're going to cover here. Dungeons and Dragons has a huge new book coming out. Mordenkainen presents Monsters of the Multiverse. So this is another big step in what many are seeing as their move towards like a 5.5 system. It's a huge new bestiary full of a bunch of new monsters, and it includes a lot of their new approach to doing monster lore and stat blocks that removes a lot of like racial features and things. And like racial essentialism type stuff, like saying, oh, this race of sentient beings are all evil. That's just what they are. Instead of being like, no, they're sentient. Some are good, some are bad. As well as some tweaks to like how they present stats and things like that for DMs. 250 different monsters total. Over 250 different monsters. Sorry.
And then it also looks like it's including, 30 plus like release player character races that are been in various other books. Like they're all now in one single volume.
Yep.
Which is good.
A bunch of new lore stuff, and then a bunch of new things to help DMs run monsters, especially high level monsters that like have spell casting, just to kind of simplify. So DM's not like trying to run like 4 wizards as a DM, which would be crazy, so it helps simplify and like give them some better stats and things to make it that easier. And yeah, whole bunch of stuff. A lot of this is the lore stuff is more focused on the D&D multiverse in general rather than some of their specific worlds like, I don't know, Sword Coast or Ravnica or whatever, since they've been pulling in a lot of those magic worlds and making them like a setting. Theros, another magic world I think they pulled in, very Greek and Roman inspired. But yeah, I'm super excited for this one. You can actually get it now, I believe, if you can find some local game stores and stuff have a box set that includes this, along with a revised edition of Xanathar's Guide to Everything and a revised edition of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, which is kind of insulting because Tasha's just came out, and so for them to turn right around and release a revised version of it, like not even a year later, does kind of suck. But the art for that box set looks real nice.
Is that the one? Is it the like the white cover?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, sure is. Black and Red had some copies the other day, and I haven't got a chance to go in and get them. Hopefully they still have some when I get in there, but we will see. But yeah, so Mordenkainen's releases as a standalone, however, on May 17th, 2022.
Yep, looks like it.
So you can go check that out. And that's going to be it for news. Moving on to Kickstarters. First up on Kickstarter is Crokinole. Board Season 7. Crokinole Board Season 7. Incredibly well funded. $244,000 of its $5,000 goal, just under 2,000 backers, and a little under 2 weeks left to back this one. Rosewood or Mahogany coming out on this 8th edition of the Mayday Games Crokinole boards, which is Mayday what company you have for yours, Zach?
Yes. Yes, it is. And I will say, just as an FYI, there looks to still be some Wave 1, so it's not like one of the things where you're like, oh, you can get it, but like you're not going to get it until Wave 7 like 3 years from now or something like that. I just wanted to say that it's not, you're not having to wait a bunch of time for these. Now, I'm sure that this is a better version than the one that I had. I'm going to guess that I had the 3rd or 4th version. Let me double check.
While you double check,
yes.
The two pledges, there's a Rosewood and a Mahogany, $99. They're by far the most popular pledges. There's 350 left of the Rosewood, and there is 185 left of the Mahogany. So, like Zach said, plenty of options left in those Wave 1s, especially if you then even want to bump up to like the Wave 1, Rosewood Wave 1 with a carrying case still has some left. Mahogany with a carrying case is unfortunately on to Wave 2.
So I did have the 4th version of it, so I'm sure that this one's going to be better. Yeah, and it didn't have, I don't remember 2 options when I backed mine.
There you go.
I mean, it looks nice. Now, these aren't going to be as, I'm going to assume, as good as like the super fancy ones, the like $200 to $300 ones, but it is as reasonable of a price for Crokinole as you can get, I feel.
Yeah, and they come, especially if you're willing to jump up to like the 130 some bucks, get the carrying case. You also get like a little wooden disc storage box that also functions as a score tracker. It's like drilled out and has little pegs. So it'll work as a score tracker. And full discs, 2 acrylic 20s holders.
So
know what that is.
So that is acrylic cylinders that you put on the side of the board that when you score 20, so you get it right in the hole, you take it out and you put it in there to signify.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes. Crokinole is a real fun game, especially if you like dexterity style games. And it's been a game for a long time too.
Yeah.
In my mind's eye, I'm thinking like 17 or 1800s, but let me check.
Sure.
1876.
I do not know. Okay.
So that's
Damn.
Yeah. That's over, or that's almost 150 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
So yeah. So if you're looking to get into Crokinole or you've played Crokinole and you want a pretty reasonable deal on getting your own board, around $100, can't really beat that. Estimated delivery for those wave ones are June even, so it's not that far off.
Yeah, it. From what I remember, it's just basically like they're just ready. It's not like a regular board.
There's no finalizing art. There's no typing up the rule book. Like it's just
production.
Yeah, especially being into wave 8 of it. They just call up the factory and be like, "Yep, this many of them," and they probably already have them making them now.
Exactly.
They've already started. It's just finalizing the total number.
Yep. It is interesting to see all of their the pictures they have of prior year fulfillments just for how many fucking boxes they are.
Yeah, no kidding.
I would say if you ever plan on moving it around, getting the case would definitely be suggestible. I have it on mine, although it's currently just gaining dust in the corner. But it is worth it for moving it around instead of the box that it comes in.
Right on. Moving on to our next Kickstarter, we have, I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation on this one, and I'm sorry for that. Jiangnan. It is very well funded. 37,000 of its $10,000 goal, about 500 backers, and almost 3 weeks left to back this one. This is a worker placement area control bag building game for 1 to 4 people. And you can pledge it for their most popular pledge, which is... Geez, Jeff does everything. Which is $89 for the deluxe edition. And so the game itself, pretty straightforward. Plays out over 6 rounds, each round divided into an action phase and an upkeep phase. During the action phase, starting with the first player, you go around taking 1 turn until everyone has taken 3 turns. So you'll do that 6 times, so you'll get 27 turns in the game. But on your turn, you choose an action tile from your track. You move it to the rightmost section of your track, and then you remove the rightmost action tile, which I think should just be that one, or maybe you move one into that, and then the one that was previously there is the one you remove. The rules are a little vague, and this is coming from the actual rules. This isn't even just on the page.
Looking at
rules.
Yeah, looking at the page, you can grab something that isn't the rightmost one. But it looks like the rightmost one is getting removed from it. So I don't...
Well, because it says... so the actual rule says choose any action tile from your track and move it to the rightmost area.
No, so there is a rightmost area on top that there are 3 workers that are standing there. And I think that's what it's supposed to.
Okay.
Yeah, it's replacing the rightmost worker is what it's doing to track which movements you've made.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so you move that tile over there, and then you get the one you remove. You get the removal bonuses from it, which are marked on the tiles. They all have a bunch of different ones. Then you take the corresponding marker for the scholar marker, and you move it to whatever district is on the top half of that action tile. There's a bunch of different districts, and they all do a bunch of different things. The districts loosely are society, where you can talk to other people and inspire each other with new ideas. The tea house and the tavern both have the exact same wording. You can publish your own works or admire the works of others for inspiration. Parlor, you can meet with different muses to get different talents for inspiration. Travel, you can visit sceneries around the capital city to get new inspiration, and then the temple fair, where you observe the life of the common people and incorporate their experiences into your art creations. Each of those districts has different specific actions, and then there's 2 actions, rest and working, that aren't tied to specific districts. Basically, everyone goes around, like I said, you do that 3 times each round. Then you do that upkeep phase, which is a lot of income, adjust turn order, choose new action tiles, score public stuff, and then replenish a bunch of tiles. And you do that for 6 rounds, and then whoever has the most prestige as an artist is the victor. So, yeah, it looks kind of interesting. The Kickstarter doesn't do a great job of really showing how some of the bag building and area control aspects of the game work. That little rules overview does a good job of like going through like the action selection, worker placement portion.
Yep.
But like I think a lot of it is coming from like as you go to those different areas, the way they all talk about like, getting inspiration, and I'm pretty sure that's just different types of tokens and things that you get to put into your bag. So depending on where you get your inspiration will influence what kinds of things you can draw out and what kind of art you're trying to make. But yeah, I really like the art style on this one. It reminds me a lot of the 2-player geisha game.
Hanami Koji.
Like the color palette is very similar, I think.
I could see that, especially some of the art that they're showing.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like it could be pretty interesting.
That deluxe edition has some fancy little metal ingots for money. And they're like a cool little metal bowl.
Who cares about that? You with the deluxe edition, you get 3D party boats.
Yeah, they got an image of them in here. They're like a little, kind of like the one from Celestia. You kind of push. They're made of cardboard, kind of pushed together to make a little boat. Yeah. It's coming from Moedius Game Design, which they've made a couple games that I've really liked. They've also had a couple that have been kind of a swing and a miss, so
yeah. I mean,
a little bit all over the place, but
I do like the idea that you are you're drafting the actions that you're doing basically through that bag building, because that's going to looks like to be what's setting up a lot of how your worker placement is from the action planning itself. So I'm curious to see. I just seems like you'd be building like a good strategy throughout the game that way. That seems pretty cool.
Yeah, and I can't tell if these like 2 different board game breakfast clips, like it's just the preview on that's embedded in the page, but I can't tell if it's a perspective issue or if it's actually just a huge fucking box. But it looks really big the way those 2 guys are holding it.
I mean, if you look at the Meeple University above that, the box looks bigger than the guy. So,
well, Jesus.
I think it's just perspective.
I think it is too, but it's definitely an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of interested in this one. I'll probably, I always say stuff like, "Oh, I'll look at it. You can play it online. I'll check it out," and then I just never do. But you can if you want to try it out for your own self. They do have an online ability to play it on the Steam Workshop page. Yeah, you can try it out on Steam and see what you think. But yeah. So that's Jiangnan, Life of Gentry. Last up on Kickstarter is BoardGameTables.com, bags and playmats for board games. Very, very well funded. $348,000 of its $20,000 goal. 4,500 backers. You have about a week left to back this one. Its most popular pledge is almost certainly going to be, every time I look, I'm like, well, nope, that one's even higher. That one's even higher. 118 for the premium bag and playmat. Also in the running is the $59 just for the premium bag. But yeah, so I know a lot of people in our game group have board game table bags. They seem incredibly high quality. And they are they're now doing more of them that you can get here. Introducing also on this one, they've got these new lightweight bags that are a little bit more heavy duty than like the cool stuff ink totes that everybody carries stuff around in that are just thin canvas that slowly rips.
You mean those ones you get for free anytime you buy something from them?
That is correct.
Yeah, mine that's in my the trunk of my car is currently repping at the corner. Now, I will say I've bought 2 of these before, the premium board game bag and their playmats, and I would recommend both of them. The board game bag has held stuff really well, as you would hope it would. Now, I have seen people use it as like backpacks because gives you the ability to. I'm not going to do that, but it has held up well to just all the different board games that I've put in there. Comes with some pockets on the side for
like smaller games,
small games, or I think I put those bowls that you were talking about from Board Game Geek.
Oh,
in there. And then it also has a like a pass-through cloth that you can use for when you're like using carry-on and stuff, like the roller suitcases that have the extendable arm. You can like put it over that. So you can,
yeah. Okay, I was not following you there at first.
Luggage handle slip is a much better, is more 3. You could say that in 3 words instead of the 100 that I just used. So
yeah.
No, but it's
even the shoulder strap seems just really nice.
Yeah. No, but
I don't think I'd ever use the backpack straps.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. But I have enjoyed it. If you want a good heavy duty bag for it, it's worked really well. And then the mat works real nice. I got it for our streaming studio, and it is real big, and it's just a mat if you don't want to play on a regular table.
Yeah, and it is big. It covers, like, we got a big table here for the streaming room, and it covers the whole table.
Yeah.
So it is very nice. We definitely probably have what would be their large sized. And
I want to say previously they didn't, unless large became medium, they didn't have the small previously. So
yeah, I can't remember. I remember seeing somewhere in here which one they added, and then I had lost it. And
but it's nice and thick. It has a good
new small size. Yeah.
It has a good sewing. I don't know, the edge. It's not a frayed edge at all.
Stitching.
It's stitching. Thank you.
It's very nicely stitched. I'm like sitting here playing with it right now.
Yeah,
it's very nice,
and it's a nice thick too. Yeah.
5 millimeter, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it ends up being real nice.
Yeah, I mean that's half a centimeter, so that's something.
It absorbs beer like a champ.
That's sort of true, unfortunately. But yeah, I would be sort of if I wanted to get anything more than the small bags, like those versatile ones, I would consider getting maybe one of those. I would guess the next time I'm at a convention, I might grab one of them, but
the mats.
No, the versatile, small bags.
The small bag. Okay.
Yeah. I don't feel like backing it. I personally don't feel like backing it for just one of those. But
if I back it, I'm on the fence. I might back it. And if I do, and you want to add on a small bag,
all right.
That way you don't have to worry about shipping or anything. But
yeah. Look, what you can do is you can just purchase the playmat and the premium bag, and then give me the free lightweight bag that comes with.
No, because I want the free lightweight bag it comes with. Nice try, though.
Yeah.
But yeah. Bunch of different colors. The lightweight bag's also zip closed, which is a nice addition. Because like my other ones don't. And then, if you corner too fast and it falls over on your floorboard and your small box game falls off the top, and it's like, oh, damn it.
Yep.
They're all made of water resistant fabric, good heavy duty zippers. And the lightweight bags fold down real nice too, so they don't take up much space.
Yep.
So, yeah, looks pretty great. Delivery for these is looking vaguely March-ish. It looks like for all of them March 2022.
Just like the Crokinole boards.
They've made them before.
They don't have to play test them.
Yeah, production, was probably already started. They were like, hey, we already know we're going to get a bunch of these. Go ahead and start doing it.
Yep.
So there you go. That's it. That's it for Kickstarters tonight.
And for this yeah.
Huh?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh. No listener feedback. Even though we took several weeks off, like no one even emailed us to be like, "Hey, are you guys alive? Do you exist? Are you doing a thing?" Nothing. So we could see how much the fans really care. If you wanted to get a hold of us, there are a bunch of different ways to do so. You can send us an email. Channel Mainer Jeff here. Emails at milehighgameguys.com. You can also find us over on Twitter, where I tweet under at MHGameGuys.
I am Zach _MHGG.
And Jeff is Jeff _MHGG. We have our Instagram account at MHGameGuys, Facebook.com/MHGameGuys to see stuff over there. Instagram account, I already said. I don't know how I got those backwards again. Website, punchboardmedia.com, search for MHGG or Mile High Game Guys, and you can see our episode posts. So it should be pretty easy to track down our most recent episode posts, which include links to the news and Kickstarter items that we talk about on the show, in case you want to follow up with them on your own. And then there's also links in those show notes to our Slack channel. And our Slack channel is where it's really at. That's where we hang out the most. That's where we interact with fans the most. That's where Mile High Cabin Con coming up in May was organized and all of the tickets were sold. So if you want to participate in those kinds of cool things with us and some of the rest of our fan base, definitely join the Slack channel. Also be sure to give us a follow, a subscribe, whatever you feel comfortable doing over on Twitch, twitch.tv/MHGameGuys. We haven't streamed over there in a while because we don't do the remote ones. It just doesn't work nearly as well. And then we've missed a few weeks. But Mile High Dungeon Delvers has been doing every other Tuesday. And we do stream all of the D&D shenanigans from Mile High Dungeon Delvers over there. And there will be a new episode of Mile High Dungeon Delvers tomorrow from day of recording, a few days ago from day of release. So you can still go over to Twitch and catch the rerun of that if you would like to. And that's all of our all of our contact information. So there you go.
Sounds good.
I think that's everything, unless you have anything you want to throw in at the closing minutes here, Zach.
Nothing at the moment. We'll see later.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. As always, I've been your host, Adrian.
And I'm still Zach.
Bye.
Bye.
Punchboard Media, where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.